So I'm going to show you what you do after you have your whole map of your value. I already started some value up here, and you have checked all of your proportions. You've checked each box compared to your photograph, and you really feel like everything's in the right place. As you do your value, you might still shift things. So right now, I am making sure before, I like to look at the darkest values first. But before I really get into the value, I'm looking at the fact that if I just start here and I try to get lighter and then I try to work on this, I'm working against white paper. So I want to make sure that I start with adding a very, very light covering to the sections that I'm working on. You can do the whole face too if you like, but I do section by section. So I started with her forehead, and you can see I got rid of my line that was my graph because I'm definitely not, or my grid, because I'm definitely not going to use that right now. So, and that is going to be in the lighter portion. So it doesn't matter what color skin your hero has. You are definitely going to use the side of your pencil, make sure it's sharpened. A dull pencil doesn't work very well. And you're going to do that scumbling method, and you're going to get the lightest, lightest, lightest. So this line here, I don't want to see that. So I'm going to pick that up before that line right there. I'm going to pick that up before I start working. Okay, so sometimes when we try to do the lightest portion, we go kind of heavy right away. So that's okay, because we can always pick up pencil. That's no big deal. But one way that I find that's really helpful for me to get sort of warmed up is on another piece of paper. I'll do a value scale. I might have a bunch of value scales here. And I don't need to go to my darkest dark right now, but I'll go all the way. It's like a warm up, getting your pencil ready, getting your hands ready, your touch ready. And then when I'm at my super lightest, that's when I'll transfer down and I'll start to do my super light scumbling. So I'm gonna work on making sure that the skin is basically covered with some kind of light, very light gray scale. Now there are areas that are highlighted, like this one. I'm still going to lightly cover it in. I'm leaving my basic map there. I'm still going to do that because the highlights are going to be great to pull up from with an eraser. So I'll pull some of that pencil up eventually and use an eraser. Now I have some value to work against. If I'm just working against the paper, it's much harder. So some of your grid lines will just automatically blend in because they will be where darker pieces are. For example, her eyebrow, I won't even see that grid line, so I don't need to erase it. But on her forehead, where it's lighter, I will definitely see it. So right here, I started working on the value in the image. So squint, 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 look at the darkest spots, and just like we did, I like to do kind of the dark spots first in the face. You can do section by section in the face, like larger sections or squares, or you can move around however you need to. But I just want to show you, I definitely use the side of my pencil. A sharpener is super great for right now because you definitely will need areas. You definitely will need to use the side of your pencil a lot, and you don't want to use super scratchy. You want to be able to blend and use this scumbling technique. So I will work on that. And there are shapes in here. So I want to see not the lines, but the edges. I haven't quite needed to get rid of my outline map because I'm just sort of working over it. It wasn't darker than the value. Also, when you're adding this value, remember that value tells us the peaks and valleys of someone's face. So think about that bone structure. Like, for example, right here, I'm thinking she has kind of this bone. Her skull is sort of bigger in that area that I'm working on. And just like if we were working on drawing an apple or a pear, something with form, we're gonna think about how our pencil goes around that form, how the light actually hits it, what gets light, what doesn't get light. She has light coming from, kind of from this corner on her face. But it's on the right side. So this side of her face is darker. She has a highlight here. So if you look at her face, you can see the light is coming from out here, or maybe above here. But either way, she's getting a lot more light on her right than her left. And that's going to show in the shadows. This will be brighter in general. I'm not, of course, going to focus on, the background's going to be plain. So this will take a while. This should not be super fast. Value will take you the longest. Adding section by section. You can also, I'm seeing that the shadow on her eye kind of swoops down a little here. So I'm making sure that my value is consistent with, there's kind of this little swoopy triangle thing happening. And yeah, so this will be something you will go over, back and forth. Remember, no harsh lines. We want to just have edges unless we have areas that are very distinctive, like this, the nose right here is pretty distinctive, and that will still be an edge, not a line, but there's a big difference in value here and here. So, and when I get there, I'll show that. All right, everyone, have a good time finding your person in your value.